CIVIC remains deeply concerned about the tens of thousands of civilians that have lost their lives to conflict in sub-Saharan Africa at the hands of fellow community members, armed non-state actors, state security forces, and others. We are, however, deeply inspired by the work that communities are undertaking every day on the ground to advance their own self-protection. I'm William Meeker, CIVIC's Africa Director. Our vision for engaging in Africa on protection of civilians is really working with governments and communities to raise the global standard on protection of civilians. We're doing this through direct engagement on the ground in two of the most severe conflicts in West Africa, the broader Lake Chad Basin, of which Nigeria is the center, the Sahel, of which Mali is the center. And in these places, we're doing work at multiple levels. One is really working with security forces to help them better understand the plight of civilians in these spaces and to understand what they can do to raise the bar on protection of civilians and civilian harm mitigation. Two, we're working with communities to help them think through the threats they face in the environment every day from all sorts of actors and help them think through how best they can mitigate those threats. So if it's a woman who's moving out of town at night to collect food to bring home to her family, the threat she faces in terms of kidnapping, in terms of violence, in terms of these other things, and help them think through what avenues they have to advocate with government actors and others to advance their own protection. And lastly, we work with armed non-state actors, community militias, these groups that in some cases rose up to help defend communities, but at the same time, the longer they're in place, in some instances, have become more predatory on communities. And then undergirding this work, research on really interesting questions such as the role that community militias can play both as protectors but also as predators, and how to approach their engagement with civilians. And then advocacy to ensure that when we get from research and other community engagement efforts, when we understand the perspective of civilians under threat, how we can effectively advocate at different levels, both on the continent, in Europe, the United States, and other such places.